4, 3, 2, and 1. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending on where you are. Today is April the 16th, 2023, and you are here live with Table Talk with Dr. Allen. I have some very special guests today, but before I introduce them, just a couple of announcements. We have several events that are coming up. We have the Ennis Youth Rally that will be taking place on the 29th, which is next week from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Make sure you check our Facebook page, Unity in the Community's Facebook page, as well as my personal page to get more information about that. You want to get your youth to this event as quickly as you can. Guys, there will be games, there will be Chick-fil-A, there will be video game trucks, there will be lots and lots of fun for those teenagers, but also coupled with that, I say it's kind of like putting chocolate on broccoli. You got to get them there. So all of these wonderful things will get them there, and then we're going to make sure that that we share the gospel with them and just have some really positive things going on with those youth. Also, mark your calendars for June the 10th and June the 11th. I know that's a little bit of ways, but go ahead and put it on your calendar. June the 10th is our 14th annual Blues on Main. So this is where it's a free event. You grab your lawn chairs, you come on down. We have great food vendors. We have adult drinks, beverages. We have lots of fun with music on that day. That is from 6 to 10 downtown Ennis. And then on Sunday, come and join us for a Gospel Sunday brunch where we will have our gospel jazz artist. Actually, Mark Turner will be performing on Sunday. On Saturday, we'll kick off with some Zydeco with JB and the Zydeco Posse, as well as our headliner, Larry Lampkin. So come on out. We'll be interviewing those guys actually next month. We'll take a Sunday, and each of those Sundays we'll highlight them and share their music, but it will not be the same without you. So come on out, mark your calendars, the June 10th, Saturday, June 10th from 6 to 10, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll also, on that Sunday, we'll have a couple of pastors or ministers to come, and they'll do little 5 to 7 minute sermonettes, so you're not missing your church service. So come on down and have a great time with us. All right, I believe that's it. That didn't take too long, because this is a really important issue, an important concern, and a very serious conversation matter that we're talking about today. I am a firm believer that we all live here together and we all have a responsibility. So it's no different than our house. Everybody has, I know in our house, when mom and dad issued the chores, one of us cooked, one of us cleaned, one of us washed dishes. Everybody had a responsibility. Somebody took out the trash. It all makes the household work. Well, when we're here on earth together, I believe that it's all our responsibility to make sure that we're voting, that we're doing those things. We're being kind to people. We're keeping the environment safe, and we're making sure that all of those things happen because we're here together and we're living together. And it makes it a lot easier if we can all work together for one common goal to make Earth run smoothly. So here today, I have two ladies who are precinct chairs in the Ellis County area. And so we're just going to have a candid conversation about what their job is, what their responsibilities and roles are, and then what our roles and responsibilities are as citizens in this county. So if you would please help me welcome Miss Juanetta Dennis and Miss Felicia Warren.
Warner.
Warner. You know, and I know you.
I know.
And I don't know why I said that.
It just came out. That's all right.
It did. I apologize. So, ladies, you have been precinct chairs. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. Either one of you can start first, but tell us who you are. Give us a little bit of your background, and let's just dive right into it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Allen, for having us on. Juanetta and I have talked about this. I'm a precinct chair in Red Oak. I have my precinct borders 35 to Red Oak Road, all the way up to the new subdivision in Harmony. So I have that portion of Ellis County. And I have been working diligently to get out the vote and let people know there is a Democratic Party in Ellis County. So to talk about voting, and Juanette and I talked about how would we describe people who don't vote? We'll just start with that because that's a more difficult subject. People that don't vote. Ellis County is not a red county. It is a non-voting county. And people seem to not have an interest in government, so they don't vote. Some people, you know, we've seen this. They hate the government, so they won't vote. They don't trust the government, so they won't vote. So they think their candidate might win. A lot of people did that with Hillary and thought, oh, she was going to sail right through, didn't vote. So we always have to be aware that our vote does make a difference. And those individuals, for whatever reason, they don't, and I'll go through some of those reasons that they don't want to vote. They don't believe sometimes their vote makes a difference. Wow. So they just don't. So yeah. It's kind of, it's to get to those individuals that don't vote and try to persuade them to register to vote and to become involved. Excuse me, and to become involved in their community, because this is where you live. And right. It's important. And I know Juanetta and I've talked, voting is, when you don't vote, it's like going to a restaurant and you sit down. The waitress or the waiter comes over. They don't ask you what you want to eat. They just bring you something from the kitchen. And then what do? You pay for it. And you might not even want it. You don't want that. You didn't want ravioli, you wanted pizza. But when you don't vote, I'm just using that analogy.
And that's a very good analogy.
That you just go to the restaurant, or say, for instance, you go through the drive-through window and here's your bag right here. This is what we're giving you. Give me your money and go. Just go.
Wow.
And when you don't vote, it's similar to that. Just going into a restaurant, sitting down, and they serve you what they want to. So I think it's important. So I'm Netta, do you kind of like see that kind of the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just people that don't vote. And, right. You know, back in, was it 2020, there was 64% of the population voted. That was the presidential election, but people don't vote during the midterms.
Yeah. And so I want Miss Juanetta to kind of talk to us a little bit, tell us who she is. And then I want to talk about that, the importance of the local elections, because we see many times a huge turnout for presidential elections, but those local elections are just as, if not equally as important as the governmental, the bigger elections, the national elections. So Winona Judd, there you go.
Love her, absolutely love her.
Common mistake. It's a common mistake. I get called Juanetta, Juanita, Winona. And it is Waynetta. I am a female
Waynetta.
Wayne.
And
My dad was Waynetta.
Okay.
love
So
it.
kind
I
of
do.
so I'm Waynetta Dennis. I have lived here in Ellis County for the last 18 years. I'm a precinct chair for precinct 1010, but I don't want to just confine myself to that. I work all of Ellis County, as does Felicia. I mean, we're not just concentrating ourselves. We all were trying to get out the vote last fall all over the county. I was in Ennis canvassing. I was in Midlothian canvassing. I was in Glen Heights, Red Oak. We were at Waxahachie. We're trying to, get to all the voters in Ellis County, all the Democratic voters, especially. Of course, that's who we're wanting to reach. And so I work from home. I'm in IT. So I'm kind of that technically inclined kind of person.
Right.
So I like to dig in and get a lot of the information like that. I'm an information person. And so just to throw out there, I looked something up because I wanted to have specifics. Just to kind of give us an idea when we're talking about this. Right now, at this moment in Ellis County, there are 132,686 registered voters. That number's going up all the time because we're seeing a lot of growth into Ellis County. Last year, it was a little bit less than that. It was like 130 and something for the last election, 131,000 plus. Something like that, registered voters. Of those registered voters, and this is all voters, this is regardless of party, only 68,000 voted. That is 52%. Now, that was not a presidential election, but that was a statewide election.
Right.
And those numbers it broke my heart. Because we worked so hard to try to get people to the polls, and we're still a little bit confounded, like why did people not show up? What could we have done better? What did we not do well? Where can we do better? But it's I think a lot of it's just like Felicia mentioned, it's some apathy, some laziness, maybe. Other reasons, like they just think, well, my vote's not going to count anyway, because it never does, because this is a red county. That's not necessarily true. It's not just really, it votes red, but it's not red. It's a purple county. But the Democrats just don't show. They don't show. I don't know. Are they in fear? Are they afraid of voter suppression, which we do have? So we want to reach out to people. We want to try to, get to one. I would like to do a poll like that. I would like to do a poll with those that didn't vote and ask them, why did they not vote? It could be that they didn't like the candidate. Perhaps they didn't want to vote for Beto. And it's unfortunate when it's in an election like that, if they're not going to show up for the higher offices, then the lower offices just get left out. And I mean, and people that vote straight tickets and things like that, it follows along party lines, and that's a shame also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me talk just a little about voter suppression, because I know that just in talking to individuals, we'll just take Ennis, for example. There are a lot of Democrats there who do not feel like they can be open about it because of the retaliation from the Republican Party.
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
seeing that? Have you guys, is that one of the reasons that people are sharing with you, or are you all even seeing that as a legitimate or viable, reason that people are not voting?
I think it's more psychological because I have been out block walking and I've had yard signs for a candidate. And I've asked the individual, because we have a list of Democratic voters, and very, very intense about, yes, I will vote. Well, would you like a yard sign? No, I don't want my neighbors to be mad at me. So it is kind of a dilemma, because you are living next door to someone their disapproval means so much to you, but
Right.
they vote against the common interest. So it makes a difference. But people, that's why Waynetta and I are just working tirelessly to help people understand that you have a right to put a yard sign out. You can vote, and you don't have to tell people who you vote for. That's one of
And
the ballots is secret.
that is so disheartening, just as a person, that we have to be fearful because of a decision that we make, that my neighbor cannot respect me that much to say, okay, I'm just because you have a different choice doesn't mean that I have to be rude to you. I have to dislike you.
Exactly.
I have
Yeah.
to, I'm just, that's
Or
very disheartening that we have come to that.
I know, but it's
Yeah.
changing. It's changing because I'm a Democrat and my neighbors are Republican. But if I get her trash can, she gets mine. We're just continue to always work together because we have a common goal in our neighborhood, and we can see past the differences.
Yes.
Because I want my neighborhood
Yes.
to remain nice and as safe as possible, and we're all in agreement on that. So it's something that individuals can work out for themselves. But as you said, Dr. Allen, it is people do kind of fear the repercussions of coming out
It's
of the
crazy.
closet and being a Democrat.
That is just, you know, as people of faith, and
Yes,
most of
that's
them
what.
are people of faith, that
Yes.
we cannot agree, even if we have to agree to disagree. But we
Yes.
can't even come together and talk about it. 9 times out of 10, we all want the same thing. We all
Yes.
want, the same issues that's on the ballots that we're talking about, that candidates are
Yeah.
using as their platforms. Most of those things we agree on. We're
Yes.
just agreeing on how to get to that end
How
result.
deliberate. Mhm. Yes,
And
we
yeah,
want that safe roads. We want the potholes filled. We want
please.
the code enforcement, to send letters out for high grass.
Yes.
We want clean water. Um, and it's just we can all agree on some common things that makes our lives run better.
But it just
Yeah.
seems like those are the small things that we can agree on, but we
Mhm.
can't agree on the big things that keep us so divided.
I know.
And that's a shame, you
Mhm.
know. And I really do think that now in this country, in this county, but also in the country, there is now a new norm of bullying.
Yes.
We're even seeing it in our schools now, but that starts at home.
Mhm.
And that comes from starting at home. It's coming from examples of different politicians and administration, across the country.
Mhm.
And it's a shame, and we need to that's one reason why I'm here, honestly. That's what spoke to me. And I felt, I've always been a lifelong Democrat, but not because I was raised that way, which I was, but I was also raised to think for myself, to understand how things affect me, and to be my own thinker, be a critical thinker.
Right.
And we're not doing that these days. People are letting others think for them. They're not thinking for themselves. We have got to, perhaps that is something that we need to consider, is do we need to do some kind of education for voters? Like how to cut through all the rhetoric and just really get down to, you've probably got your own issues that are bringing you to look at what is going on. Research, do your own research.
Right.
Don't have someone tell you how to vote and when to vote and who to vote for, where to vote. Do your own research.
Yes.
And be educated, be an educated voter.
Right.
Have the tools you've got the tools right here: fingers, hands, eyes, a mind. You've got the tools. You just need to use them.
Right. Right. You are so spot on. I'm an administrator at a school, and there is such an increase in bullying and name calling and racial slurs, and and I'm like, you're in second grade. You can't even spell race. You can't even spell bully. But because they've heard those conversations, kids do what they see, not what they're told all the time. And so you automatically, internally we have a little joke, if you follow a kid home and when they come to the door, why the kid acts the way they do. And so educating it, I'm beginning to wonder if we're not independently thinking, but just because I'm a diehard Republican or a diehard Democrat, I am just that's it. My allegiance is to the party, not to what my moral, what my ethics, what my character stands for. It's just because I'm going to go along with it just because. And I had someone when I was telling them about the show today, and they were saying, well, are you a Democrat? And I said, well, I vote Democrat, but I don't always agree with Democrat.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So just because you don't agree with everything doesn't, make you, I'm not going to abolish the party, but it's just certain things that I just don't agree with. And I agree sometimes with some of the things that Republicans say, but we have to learn how to come together for the common good.
Right.
And
that's
where the breakdown is coming. So how do we achieve that? How do we get that? How do we get to that point? Is it the education that you talked about, Waynetta? Or, what is it that we need to do as precinct chairs? You guys are out there every day. You're hearing it, you're seeing it. How do we accomplish this?
I think
I'd like to say number one. Oh, I'm so sorry, Felicia.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say number one, respecting each other. Everyone needs to respect their fellow citizens. So we need respect first and foremost. And I can respect someone. They may not have the same ideologies that I do, but I can still respect them. And like you were mentioning before, Felicia, I've got lots of friends. I'm surrounded by Republican friends. They're wonderful people, but I just don't believe the way that they do. Can we still be friends? Of course. But I respect their choice. They have their right to their opinion, just as I do mine. But then please, give me the respect of respecting mine. Absolutely. And I will respect yours.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Felicia.
Yes. Some people are just not interested in politics. They're not going to be involved. And that's just the way it is. They're not interested and they're never going to be involved. They're never going to vote. Some people, and Juanetta and I are trying to change that, are not registered to vote. And sometimes they just miss the deadlines, a couple of days or something. But we'll always come back to them and make sure you're registered to vote. If you change your address or change your name for any reason, update that with the elections board in your county. Some people are not eligible to vote. Of course, people who are not citizens, you cannot vote unless you're a citizen. So people are not voting because of that. Some people have permanent illnesses or injuries that don't allow them. And that's what the controversy was about the mail-in ballots. Certain politicians got a kick out of bashing that. But in reality, that is one of the mainstays of voting for seniors, people who are disabled and just cannot come to the polls, or they don't have transportation. Some people believe their vote won't make a difference, but we've seen races where nationally or in smaller towns that people have won by 6 votes or lost by 6 votes. People just don't know where to go to register. It might be too complicated for them. And the other big thing is, and it's coming to a head, that people who are eligible to vote but are not proficient in English. And that's difficult for them also to not vote, because we all 3 of us know, and I'm sure the audience that is listening, the Hispanic population, Latino population is
increasing.
Right. Yes. And we will definitely be reaching out to those voters also.
So how are we reaching out to them? I'm not seeing, and it could be just, I just haven't seen it. Are we really making sure that there is Spanish literature for them? Okay. Great.
Yes.
Great.
We
So
have some excellent women and men who are working on new formats for our brochures and door hangers that will be in English and Spanish. And when I block walk, I always invite my Hispanic friends to block walk with me, translate, and do that. But I think each precinct chair in Ellis County has a responsibility, and we are taking those responsibilities seriously, that we need to get to know our precinct and make our faces known to them, that there is a Democratic Party. Yeah.
That is one of our problems, though, Felicia. I agree with you. That is our responsibility, to know our precinct and to get out and converse with them, meet with them, and get to know them and let them know that we are here. They're not alone. But we have so many precincts where we do not have a precinct chair, and we need the volunteers. We need people who maybe are impassioned to get out and try to get involved. That's why I did, because I wanted to get more involved. We are very lacking in precinct chairs, especially in the Ennis area, several parts of Waxahachie, several parts of, actually all of our communities, really, in Ellis County. We need representatives, people that will take on a precinct chair and be responsible for helping us, know the demographics in their precincts, and get to know those people, have conversations with them, have like some kind of community little get-together, precinct get-together, something like that. But that's what we need. We need, first of all, volunteers to step up to be precinct chairs that are willing to commit themselves. And then we need people that will help them get out and canvass and talk to folks.
So is there training for
Yes.
individuals who want to be precinct chairs? What's the process for becoming a precinct chair?
You would contact our Democratic County chairperson, Kelly Blackburn, and she will go through the process with you. You'll fill out an application and it'll be submitted, and we'll go from there, and I will definitely train them on what they need to do and block walk
Yeah,
with them
any
and
of us
show them
will
how
take
to
them
do
under
it.
the,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, we'll take them under our wing and work with
Mentor.
them and, mhm.
Yes.
I'm certain that time constraint is probably the biggest concern when it comes to being a precinct chair. It's like a job. And so I would assume, and you guys can correct me, it would help if that person is maybe retired and looking for something to do.
And you know, the busiest person is always the most organized person. And when you allot time out to block walk or to work the phones, you'll set aside an hour and you'll, as I always say, tell one of your closest friends that this is what I'm doing. Please come and join me. And your friend will. You can go shopping. You can go block walking together. I'm not trying to be easy answers, but
Right.
this is important. Grandchildren, I have my granddaughters block walk with me. They enjoy it. We dedicate a couple of hours to doing it. And, you know, if you do it every day at a certain time,
right,
you can get a lot accomplished. And I know it's getting ready to be blazing hot, but if you can go out in the like at 10 o'clock till 12 and just put out cars, knock on doors, or you can do it in the evening as it gets a little cooler, not a whole lot,
right.
but you can you can do that. It's just a couple of hours. And if you want to do it on every other day, you can, or you can just take a whole Saturday and Sunday when people are home mainly and do it that way.
So as you're saying, volunteering, I'm sorry, Winetta.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Allen. I was just going to say, I do work full time. So it is, you know, it is extra work that I took on outside of my full-time job, which does keep me very busy. But, you know, we just did a lot of organization. I helped a lot with that last year of organizing lots of block walks. And, you know, spent a lot of my time on the weekends up at the office, you know, doing planning. But then we would get groups of us together, you know, like we would ask for volunteers. We would ask for volunteers and we would go together and we would go to neighborhoods. Like that's what we did in Ennis. We had about 6 of us in Ennis that we went to multiple, you know, neighborhoods and then just would block walk, you know, and try to get to everyone. But it takes time. It's a commitment to do that, especially if you're a chair, precinct chair. But I also found it the most rewarding thing. I was tired by the end of the election last year,
I bet.
Was also very rewarding because I felt like I hopefully made a little bit of a difference in some way that I'm proud of, that at least I tried. At least I tried. And, you know, and I just hope I made a difference and maybe set an example for some folks.
So I want to go back to a couple of questions that I know that we've received just as Unity in the Community has set up areas to help people to just get information, to help them register to vote. One of probably the biggest question that we get is, I've just returned home from being incarcerated, and what are my rights? Am I allowed to vote? Am I not allowed to vote? When can I vote? are my voting my voting privilege is limited? Can you all talk a little bit about that so that we have a sure answer on how people who have served their time, they've paid their debt to society, and now they're coming back? How can we, make the transition back into
Sure.
society?
So to be eligible to register to vote, a person, and speaking to that specific topic, they have not been finally convicted of a felony. If so convicted, must have fully discharged the person's sentence, including any incarceration, parole, supervision, or completed a period of probation ordered by any court, or been pardoned or otherwise released from resulting disability to vote. So that's in the Ellis County Voter Guide, which is from the state. So if you're fully discharged and you don't have any papers on you, you're not paying anything, you are eligible to vote.
Gotcha.
And also is it the 17 and 10 months that you can register to vote? And that's why
you can register at
vote.
17 years and 10 months,
10
but
months.
you've got to have been, you must be 18 at the
Right.
time of the election.
Right. So you can register,
you can
get started.
Yeah, you can register early, but you cannot vote even if the election day, we've got one official election day coming up May 6th for probably a lot of the community, the school districts in this county. If a person's birthday is May 7th, sorry, they can't vote, and they'll turn 18 on that day. So sorry, my husband walked in. But they can register. He just let the dog in. So that's it. And then they just, of course, to vote, everyone has to have specific ID, types of ID, like such as a valid driver's license, or I think and you can check me also, Felicia, driver's license, if you're over a certain age, isn't even required anymore. I think over 69 possibly. I'm not quite absolutely certain about that, but if somebody is voting that's over a certain age, they don't have to have a driver's license. But it can also be having been expired up to, I believe it's 4 years. I think it's 4. So, but you must have some form of ID, whether it be a Texas driver's license, a military ID. The thing that gets me all the time, I'm still shocked at, a handgun license in the state of Texas. I don't get that one, but anyway.
You can't use the handgun license, or you can?
You can.
Oh, okay.
They don't issue license anymore because it's
open carry.
Open carry, yeah. So yeah, or passport.
Yes, passport. Yeah, there's a few different ones. So all of that is out there also on the Ellis County website for voting. So I think it's countyco.ellis.tx.us if people want to go out and look for themselves. But and we can get that information to you also if you'd like, Dr. Allen, later.
That would be great.
Okay.
One of the things that, and I believe, Ms. Dennis, you mentioned this just a moment ago, just the education part of it and just educating people. Would it help, and this is something that you all may already be doing, to maybe start in the high schools and maybe those government programs or those government classes that we do a young Democrat or young Republican classes, so that, if it's an organization and you can learn and just really start just teaching those kids about what they're learning about, but
Civics.
now putting it into practice. Yeah, but now putting it into practice. So what happened? And I remember years and years and years ago when I was in school, they had that. They had the Young Democrats, and I remember working with my mom in,
Right.
when she was a precinct chair, when she was very active with the Democrats. So where do we not have those programs anymore?
I'm not sure what's in the school
I'm
exactly.
I'm
So
not
far
certain
away.
in the high school. I know colleges will usually have those. I was involved in one in my college, but I'm not sure about the high school.
And
I
it was
know that
generally
in
set up
general,
by not the high school. It was generally set up by someone precinct chair or someone who was actively involved
the
in
organization.
the organization. Yeah. And they just partnered
I'm
with
going to
the
jot that
school.
down and follow up.
I know they've had some events at the high schools here in Ellis County, but those were to register those individuals that were 17 and 10 months. And I don't know about in the classroom, would they allow that
Yeah,
without that
probably
person
not.
going
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
the
No, no,
criminal
no.
background check and all the
Yeah.
other things
Yeah,
that
they probably would not allow because just the school part of it. But I know with student council, that would be a partnership that student council or student government or whatever those programs are
Mhm.
at the school, they would certainly, I'm sure, welcome someone from the outside. And you're right, they would have to go through background check and that kind of thing. And that's simple to do. You just go
right,
down to the district and sign up as a volunteer.
right.
And I'm sure the steps would, they can walk them through that process. But I think just educating people from an early, before their brains are tainted,
No.
before they get
Well,
tainted by,
Well, teenagers as a
inappropriate,
rule, they
yeah,
think
just
they know everything anyway.
everything, absolutely. But some of them really are interested in being productive citizens. And so helping them to understand the real facts behind a lot of the information and not just get caught up in the rhetoric.
Yes. And they should
I think a
understand
lot
that
of,
they have power. They have the power.
yeah,
And I want to say that the young people, they love their parents. Well, yeah. They love their parents. They love their
Mhm.
grandparents, friends, and they would want to vote to have better communities, such as if grandmother is transitioning out of her house, can she stay in the community in a smaller apartment? Does she have supportive services that will help
Mhm.
her remain and age successfully in her home?
Right.
And you vote for that, because some uh, of our politicians block affordable, and I don't want
Right.
to say affordable, but senior housing.
Right.
Um, they really frown on it. But
senior
um,
benefits all around.
I'm sorry, Waynetta?
Senior benefits all around.
Yes. And so I think sometimes approaching them in a more, I'm not here to bash on you.
Absolutely.
I want to appeal to, you love your parents. Your parents are going to get old. You know what I mean?
Information. Yeah,
And
just
then you have your grandparents. So
mhm.
if you're not going to vote, if you're not going to vote for yourself and your interests, vote
Right.
for their interests.
Yeah,
Don't you want
absolutely.
your grandmother to stay in her home and enjoy her life?
But
It
but I
makes a
think
difference.
but I think a lot of times they don't even know that that's the concern. They don't know that that is the
Mhm.
issue. And
It,
so it goes back to just educating them and helping them to understand that this is what this particular bill or this is what this is about. This is what this means.
yeah.
Nobody's really talking. Nobody is really breaking it down to them for them
And
to understand.
I think that's one of the goals that we have in the Democratic Party, is to reach the young people, those 18 to 29-year-olds that are they're concerned about jobs. They might have a child, and they're just trying to have fun and make TikTok videos. But on the flip side, there are your responsibilities as a member of the community. And again, I'll go back to, if you love your grandparents, or you love that special aunt who came up to your school for a program, and you want to honor her or him or uncle, I think it's appealing to them in a more human way. Because when I talk to young people, when I'm registering people to vote, young people to vote, I always say youngins, have them vote, I always want to appeal to what they feel. I know we can go into the old not cliches, but go back to the civil rights movement, where people died and were water hosed and dogs were attacking them.
They don't relate to that.
You're right, Dr. Allen. It's like the distant past, but it really wasn't. But they don't think that could be that serious, that people had to die for them to have the right to vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
you have to humanize it now.
Yes, I really do.
You have to put a face. I mean, it can be just a like you said, not a real face, but you have to put a face on the problem and have them understand and recognize that it's not just rhetoric floating out in space somewhere. This is a real issue. These are the people who are really affected by it. And, your cousin Joey might be one, or your Aunt Audrey, or whatever. They may be facing these, your cousin who may be forced to go out of the state of Texas to seek, illegal, women, health for, I don't want to say the word. I'm not sure if you want me to, but, that has to flee because they need to get health attention, female health, that's nobody else's business but their own. Should be, a private matter between you and your physician, not with the governor of Texas.
Well, even with that, there's so much involved when we talk about women's health. I mean, there's the, breast cancer, there's, the mammograms that are provided. I mean, there's the cervical cancer that, that they serve. I mean, there's just so much. But in the news and in the media, we only want to focus on that one thing. So
just that one word. And there's so much more to it than that.
So much more to it. So
it
goes
away
back.
Yes. So that's what you need to humanize, that kind of thing. And that it affects potentially some of your family members or some of your close friends that you may not realize, your neighbor down the street that may be suffering because of some of these rules and regulations and laws that have been put into effect. I mean, minorities, women are considered a minority. People of color are minorities. There's lots of minorities. LGBTQ, they're minorities.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different, those with special needs, health needs, they're in a minority too, but their rights aren't being protected and not given the full, it's almost as if we as women aren't given equal rights that we our foremothers fought to get for us. You all have had a fight that I haven't suffered myself, but your fight to be just recognized as you're just human beings. It does not matter what color your skin is. You're a human being. And your forefathers fought for that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
we're all people. We're all citizens.
definitely,
We should
definitely.
love one another.
Absolutely.
I agree. Another point, and I totally agree with you, Waynetta, the great unwinding here in Texas with the Medicaid. Millions of people are being systematically eliminated. Now, they have opportunities if they can to stay on Medicaid, but this is one of the key issues with the state that people, this affects you, even if it doesn't directly, it affects you because Texas did not do the Medicaid expansion. So when the pandemic was going on, they had continuous Medicaid coverage. So the pandemic has been ended. Biden has officially said that. So Texas started eliminating, or I shouldn't say eliminating, but sending out letters that your Medicaid will end March 31st, and you need to respond. And they sent out letters in yellow envelopes, which is amazing because it's a yellow envelope. It looks like a bill and people will throw it away. But that's one of the more, such as the women's issue, is a severe consequence of not voting. Food stamps, kicking people off food stamps left and right. I don't know why anyone would think you can have a senior, give them $23 a month for food stamps. And
I know one who gets 14.
Oh my word.
Right here, girl. You can't come out the store with a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, and 2 eggs. They don't sell them like that, but yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
It's terrible.
But and that's a whole nother soapbox for me.
I know.
because
it
I know one
voting.
female who gets $1,400 of food stamps. You can't eat $1,400 worth of food in a month. Oh, that's a whole nother story.
But it is a heavier burden on those who are unable. Now, senior can't just jump up and go get a part-time job to supplement their income.
No, ma'am.
They're on a fixed income, and that's what fixed means. It does not change. And
there's
we
still
have
a lot
those
of education too that needs to be done for the seniors. And I think a lot of too, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but it goes back to the education. People need to understand.
Yes.
I have talked to so many people, seniors, that they didn't understand the difference between Medicaid and Medicare. They don't understand what Medicaid is and how and who is eligible and how it's different from Medicare. Medicaid state, it's administered by the state. Medicaid has nothing to do with federal. Medicare is federal, and and it's for seniors, and people just don't understand that. And we have politicians that would just rather keep them not in the know.
That's right.
Keep that information suppressed from them and have them, I don't know. I'm strictly speaking, this is opinion. I am not an expert. So I must make that
disclaimer.
But if this disclaimer, all these folks that are getting taken in by Medicare Advantage, that is just a commercialized insurance that is actually taking away from Medicare. And I don't know if people really get that and understand it.
Yes,
it's a way that our government is working harder and harder to get rid of Medicare.
Those are one of the options for that original Medicare Part A and B only pays 80% to a provider. And then
Mhm.
you have an option to pick up a Medigap policy, which some people can
Well-
afford, some people can. And then you get a freestanding prescription drug plan. But the Medicare Advantage plan, when you pay the $164.90, it goes to that insurance company, not to Medicare, as with the original Medicare. So that's one of the differences. But
Mm.
the Medicare Advantage is similar to your employer's insurance, where you stay in network, and some people don't like
It's a
that.
commercial insurance. It's a commercial
Wow.
insurance. But it is, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's trying to replace Medicare. It's trying to, they're slowly trying to get rid of Medicare. And again, disclaimer, I'm not an expert. I mean, this is actually, though, I should say, I work in healthcare IT and billing.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yes.
I see a lot of this. So I do
Wow.
have some information, but that it's just another way that where I go back to saying educate. People need to educate themselves.
Yeah.
And somehow we need to educate them, whether it be that we help and hold like little workshops with folks, like
It's a great idea.
on how to, I mean, even if there's people that want workshops on, how do I register to vote? How do I do this? I mean, we've got all different kinds of ideas actually forming right now, we've been talking about, but maybe we need to have workshops on this kind of stuff as well to help educate voters as well.
Well,
especially
I
our
would
elderly.
love to, yes, just I know my mom will often have a group of seniors that she has to help with their mail-in ballots and
Right.
sending
Mhm.
their requests for a mail-in ballots and
Mhm.
things like that. That
Mhm.
information comes, and sometimes it's so much information, it's overwhelming to them.
Yes.
And so they don't understand it and they get confused. And so they do need someone to help, help, even if it's just explaining them. A lot of times they'll just come over to my mom and bring it to them and say, can you help me fill this out? And can you help?
Mhm.
So I love the idea of having those little workshops. We are generally we were talking to Felicia before you came on. We have what we call Learn Over Lunch. We provide lunch for seniors, and then we address some of those different topics.
Oh, that's
And
great.
it could be random topics: gardening in a crock,
Mhm.
gardening in pots, or cooking in a crock pot, or moving in your chair, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that.
Great.
So I would love to, if you all would like to put something together, let me know.
Sure. Mhm.
Unity in the Community will host that. I'm putting that out there. My board is usually pretty gracious. They'll let me kind of do most of the things I like to do.
Oh,
But
good.
I'll run it past them, and let's do that.
Okay.
We've got to educate our people. We have to educate them. And with everything going electronic,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
it's eliminating our seniors because they don't have they don't have the knowledge. Some of them don't even have the cell phones that will even do some of the stuff that they're asked to do on their phones.
No. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
My husband is one of them.
I can imagine. So then what do they do if they don't have the resources and you're forcing them to do this? So now you're telling them you got to go out and get a cell phone plan that will accommodate this. Well, if I'm on a fixed income, how do I do that?
Mhm.
There are some programs that will help seniors with a laptop.
Mhm.
There are programs that will help them with Wi-Fi costs. So it's just a matter of reaching out to those seniors,
Right.
and telling them that these programs are available.
But even with that, Felicia, you give me that, and if I have never had a laptop, I don't know how to use it.
Then the
I don't know.
classes.
Yeah. So then you have to do the classes,
Mhm.
and And I mean,
I
it's
know
just a whole nother,
it's a level of
level. It
concern.
really
Yes.
It's another can of worms that we have to address, and that's a
We're doing
shame.
it.
But you're right. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them just decide, well, I give up. I'm just not going to vote. I'm
yeah.
not going to
Oh, yeah.
because they don't know what
Yes.
to do. So
Right.
but
Right.
and that's
It's too
and like
hard.
a lot of them might want to vote and they've got, but they don't have the means to get there.
Right.
So we've tried to offer rides for folks,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but I think we need to do better at that. We need to get really organized early and make
Oh,
sure that
yes.
they know that they've got rides.
Yeah. And so that's one
if
of the
we wait
things
too
that
late,
for volunteers is
Yes.
that's one of the things that you all would like volunteers to do
Volunteers.
is take people to the polls.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
I tell you what, it has been very, very informative for me. I've been over here taking notes and jotting down little things from you guys.
yes.
So I certainly appreciate it. Get back with me. Let's have this
Sure.
conversation again. Let's sit down. Let's brainstorm how we can, how we can address it. I'm not in Ellis County anymore, but I will, that's where I'm from. And so
Yeah.
I am adamant about making sure that the people in my hometown have what they need to be productive citizens. So whatever Unity in the community can do, whatever we can do personally,
Okay.
please let us know.
Okay. I certainly
Yes,
will.
yes,
Sounds good.
Oh, let me plug for our
yes.
Ellis County Democrats, our Facebook page. Look at that and get information. It's updated. We have a wonderful young lady that is managing our Facebook page, and she keeps it updated. So information will be on there.
Are there any events coming up?
Well, we're planning a volunteer deputy registrar class. We just had one Thursday, and we had about 10 people, Waynetta?
That's
About 10
great.
people.
But yeah,
Yeah, and so we'll have another one, and then we'll also try to do that on a Saturday too.
Yes. And
So-
make it a little
and we're
easier.
trying to plan more social events as well, trying to get people community involvement, like get people to meet your fellow Democrats, get to know us and
Mhm.
join us and
Yes.
see that we are here. We
Mhm.
walk among you and we want
Hey.
to fellowship with you.
So during the Blues Festival, maybe you guys would want to
We
come
do.
and maybe set up a tent and
We
do
do. Mhm.
do a pop-up and
Yes.
just kind of
If-
and just
voter
kinda
if they
registration.
will allow us.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they will allow us, because sometimes they don't. There's some things that they don't want the politics brought into it.
Oh, yeah.
So
I will allow
otherwise,
it.
we're
I'm over that
happy.
event,
Okay.
so I will allow it.
Okay.
All
And
right.
so usually
She's in
what
charge.
usually what happens is we have to offer it to both. We can't
Right.
just
Yes.
patronize one. And I am
Sure.
not opposed. I have some really good friends who are Republicans. I love them. And so if they are wanting to come or willing to come, they are more than welcome to come and do the same. My only concern and my only stipulation is we respect each other.
Of course.
Yes.
We're not going to
Absolutely.
argue. We're not going to address issues and concerns. We are strictly sharing information and signing people up to vote. And I don't care who you vote for, as long as you get out and vote
Mhm.
and take,
Yes.
make sure that your voice is heard. So
Yes.
absolutely. I will make sure that I send both of you some information. I have your emails. I will send you the information for you guys to come up and set up and do a little meetup, a Democratic meetup
Okay.
at the Blues Festival. That would be great.
Sounds
I
good.
love it.
Sounds
I
great.
love it. Ladies, it has been a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on. Let's do this again soon.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. So again, thank you for those of you who have chimed in to Table Talk with Dr. Allen. We'll see you back here next week at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you.